prosperous and strong, while East Germany went against the United States and became poor and desolate. South Korea followed the United States and became brilliant, while North Korea did the opposite and became closed and backward. Without theoretical analysis or logical reasoning, facts have proved that following the United States will be beneficial to the country and its people. In the era of confrontation with the United States, China was poor and backward. Due to China's reforms and opening up, China and the United States now have harmonious relations and China's economy has grown by leaps and bounds. Therefore, we must follow the United States. A strong entrepreneur, not a strong government. Allow thousands of entrepreneurs to be born and become stronger. Let the invisible hand of the market support or eliminate entrepreneurs. The government administration should not interfere with business. It is necessary to weaken or even abolish the governmental administrative agencies at and below the county level, and let entrepreneurs replace and exercise government functions there. And at the same time, liberalize the development of civil society organizations and allow civil society organizations and entrepreneurs to form a system of checks and balances. Make trade channels unobstructed and allow people to move around freely. Not obstruct the sea, business, internet, and borders, and fully open it all up. Let businessmen from all over the world come and go freely in China. Let academic groups and people from all over the world communicate and exchange information freely in China. And let Chinese people freely enter and leave the country to everywhere in the world to study, do business, establish enterprises, travel, and settle. It is not only necessary to recognize dual nationality, even triple or 100 nationalities, and allow for Chinese citizens to have multiple nationalities. The government should not participate in economic activities. There is infinite wisdom, vitality, and creativity among the people. They know how to survive and how to improve their lives. Entrepreneurs are more far-sighted than government officials. Dissolve all state-owned enterprises and leave banking, power, communications, transportation, etc., all to entrepreneurs to operate. As long as economic activities are involved, the government should not participate. The government should only be in charge of 5 things: foreign affairs, national defense, combating crime, combating monopolies, and providing free education and medical care. Except for setting up a press release office, leave it to society to run all media and let them run various news and information dissemination media on behalf of their own interests. Allow them to say anything they want to, and allow journalists to exist in every corner of the country. The power of journalists should be stronger than that of the police, while the government does not need to pay for the journalists, which is a good deal. Establish the awareness that private property is sacred and inviolable. The state cannot deprive its citizens of private property, nor can any political party or religious group. Only by ensuring the safety of private property can the country prosper. The people will live a happy life in peace and contentment, and money from all over the world will flow into China. At the same time, it should be guaranteed that private residences will not be disturbed by anyone. With private residences, the rule should be, the wind can enter, the rain can enter, and the king cannot enter. Without a reliable clue to prove that the residents have violated the law, the police should not be allowed to enter. Allow various faith-based groups to operate freely, learn from the ecological diversity of nature, and let all kinds of faith groups spread their teachings and ideas freely. The government should not support any faith groups, nor should it crack down on them, but leave them to live and die on their own. Abandon such disputes as doctrine and truth. Only think about and talk about how to make the common people live and work in peace and contentment, and do not talk about and argue about the advantages of capitalism, socialism, and communism, let alone talking about fighting and dedicating to the truth. As long as the general public likes it, shitism is acceptable. Do not assist poor countries, do not help backward countries, but you can provide emergency relief when disasters or special situations occur. To provide living security for the brave. As long as people are disabled because of their bravery for righteousness, the state should provide them with a free lifetime pension, which should not be lower than the national average standard of living. If they sacrifice their lives for righteous causes, the government must not only arrange and take care of all their funeral affairs, but also take care of their parents for the rest of their lives and provide education and other guarantees for their children until they graduate from school. The government should not care about private matters between the sexes. The sexual life between members of the opposite sex is a personal matter, and it belongs to the freedom of life. As long as both parties are willing, the government should ignore it, make no comments, let alone kidnap and judge them with high standards of moral and quality. It doesn't matter whether it is one wife with many husbands, one husband with many wives, 3 or 4 people having sex together, or thousands or 10,000 people together, the chairman and the secretary, a master and an apprentice, husband with mistresses, having an affair every night. As long as the participants are willing, without hurting others, then let everything flow eastward. To future Chinese leaders, may you be the Ziwei saint who comes to the world, and may you understand the principle of holography. If you can manage China with the principle of holography, China will become the center of human civilization, and the whole world will praise your wisdom and greatness. 才不对位是社会资源的一种浪费. Mismatching talents and positions are wastes of social resources. Xuefeng, August 30th, 2021. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. What a waste it would be to shell mosquitoes with big guns, but it would also be a waste to specialize in growing flowers to cook, and it is even more wasteful for those who have the potential to win Nobel Prizes to be running companies. Letting people with hairdressing and cosmetological skills work on assembly lines in factories are also wastes, and letting thinkers become government officials is even more wasteful. Having cats catch mice and dogs guard homes are good arrangements, but letting mice guard homes or dogs catch mice are mismatched talents. Having Churchill as the Prime Minister and Montgomery as the Field Marshal were wise matches, but having Churchill be a Field Marshal and Montgomery a Prime Minister would have been mismatched talents. The function of eyes is to see, of ears is to hear, of feet is to walk, of hands is to manipulate things, and of brains is to think. If you made the brain look, listen, walk, or manipulate things, but stop thinking, then it would be misaligned. If a brain were not doing brain business, but did the businesses of the eyes, ears, feet, or hands, then it would not only be putting the proverbial cart before the horse, but it would also be a huge invisible waste of its special resource. Talents are types of invisible social wealth with huge potentials, while mismatched talents and positions are invisible and huge wastes of social resources. The people are infinitely rich in creativity. For example, the infinite vitality bursting out of Chinese society at the beginning of China's reform and opening up is the result of the mobilization of the infinite creativity of the people. If the talents are aligned properly, endless material wealth, spiritual wealth, and soul wealth will be created. There are 2 main reasons for their misalignment. The first one is government regulations. The more that the government controls, the more that people's talents misalign. For example, it is difficult for China to produce Nobel Prize winners. This is not because the Chinese are stupid people, but because its government controls and intervenes too much. How can great scientists and thinkers be born without their talents being aligned properly? How can century-old shops and a large number of craftsmen's talents be born? The second is running for survival. Regardless of one's talents, they choose whatever they can do to make money, and their choices can be few. Why has the Guide of Human Spirits and Souls written so few valuable articles during the past 2 years? Because my talents have been misaligned. Most of my time and energy during this time have been spent running around for survival. I have awakened each morning at 5 o'clock, washed, and prepared breakfast for my guests. It is already 10 o'clock in the morning by the time I clear up the cups, plates, and tables after my guests have finished eating. Then I make my own lunch, and after that, I visit the guest rooms to clean up the trash left by my guests and take out the sheets, coverlets, hand towels, bath towels, and other linen used by the guests, wash them, and relay them. Next, I clean the guest rooms meticulously. After finishing this, it is already around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. During this period, I must wait for new guests to arrive at any time, to arrange the rooms for them, and then make dinner. After dinner, I clean the tableware used by the guests and myself throughout the day. Then I begin to fold the cleaned bedding and bathroom supplies. Now it is past 8 o'clock at night, and I must go to bed by 10 o'clock, or the next day's failure to get up on time would delay my guests' breakfasts. My real free time is no more than 2 hours, because there are a series of other things to do, such as shopping more than 30 kilometers away, tidying the yard and mowing, repairing improper parts, and so on. Now I must ask this question. Which is more important, for the tour guide to do this every day to make money or to write valuable articles? As the tour guide, I understand in my heart that this is a sorrow for mankind and a huge loss to civilization, but even more so, it is an incalculable loss to life Genuine and its celestials. A bit alarmist, is it not? History will tell you the answer. As the tour guide, I know in my heart that my talents are misaligned and that I am putting the cart before the horse, but since humans cannot be aware of this, then I will take things as they are and enjoy the happiness and tranquility of ordinary life. Where is mankind's escape? How do we eliminate the phenomenon of misaligned talents? The answer lies in the tour guide's brain. 根头栽在了细节上. Stumbling on the details. Xuefeng. August 24, 2021. Translated by Yu and edited by Care. On January 28, 1986, the American Challenger launched and exploded 73 seconds later, killing all 7 of its astronauts in the space shuttle. What was the problem? The O-ring seal of the solid rocket booster on the right side failed. Such a large and complex collection of super-advanced science and technology resulted in a disaster that could not be avoided just because of the failure of a small, inconspicuous sealing ring. We had stumbled over a detail. Sierra, a 24-year-old computer engineer and job seeker, stood out in a competition among several thousand competitors and was selected because of her excellent performance during her interview with the boss. But when she went back to the boss office to retrieve the silk gloves she had left on the cabinet by the door when she first walked in, the boss noticed what she was doing. The next day, when she had not received a call for employment, she became concerned and called to ask why. The general manager answered that, "We had already chosen you, but then we found that you are forgetful. We engage in the design of electronic circuits, and there must be no mistakes." She had stumbled over a detail. On August 21, 2021, a young couple checked into my small hotel. Judging by their appearance and temperament, they appeared to be South American, and judging by their cars and clothes, they seemed to be having economic difficulties. However, they could stay in the high-end hotel that I manage, which showed me that they had certain patterns and methods to their pursuits. Late in the afternoon, the lady brought a box of food to be heated in the microwave. When I asked why they had come here, she said they wanted jobs. At that time, a desire arose in me to keep the couple in my hotel, but the next day I cooked breakfast for them and they were supposed to be ready at 8 o'clock sharp because I had everything ready for them at that time. But I waited and waited, and they did not come downstairs for almost an hour, and it was then that I dispelled the idea of keeping them. Why? Because an unpunctual person is someone you cannot count on and someone who will screw up jobs. So how could I keep them? Punctuality is a kind of faith. A lack of the former proves a lack of the latter, and people who do not have faith are unreliable. Perhaps they never knew that the real reason why they had arrived at the gate of heaven but had not been able to enter was only that one detail. Again, they had stumbled over a detail. Details are not unintentional accidental phenomena. They embody the meaning of people's lives, and they are comprehensive manifestations of their upbringings, self-restraint, and self-cultivation. If the details go wrong, it must be that the person lacks having enough self-improvement and self-cultivation. When people face dilemmas, their problems must lie in the imperfection of certain details, but they may never know that it is their imperfection of one or a few details that has led to their dilemmas. 一张残酷的能量流向图. A cruel energy flow diagram. Xuefeng. June 7, 2021. Translated by Yu and edited by Care. The day before yesterday, in the afternoon, I knelt on a mat to weed, loosen the soil, and fertilize the roses in front of the guest rooms. Why was the whole process of working so joyful? Because the roses were growing vigorously. I feel joy when I look at flourishing roses, and because of my joy, I like to weed them, loosen their soil, fertilize them, and finally water them. The cruel reality is somewhat different, however. More attention and energy should have been given to the weak ones. The strong ones can strengthen themselves and do not need much effort or care. The weaker that one is, the less care and energy they will be given. The stronger that one is, the more care and energy they will be given. You see, the higher one's official rank is, the more supporters and flatterers they will have, and the more people who will be sending them gifts. The more successful a business is, the more money banks like to lend to them, and the easier it is for them to borrow money and raise funds. The more handsome a man is, the more capable he is, and the more that beautiful women will want to marry him. Some men have married dozens or even hundreds of wives. and all of them were beautiful, gentle, and capable, but many men cannot find a single wife and can only remain lonely bachelors. The drier a place is, the less likely it will be receiving rain, but the wetter a place is, the more rain that will fall. The better, the more prosperous, the worse, the bleaker. Is this the law of nature? I consider myself a saint, so why do I also prefer the lush Chinese rose flowers from the bottom of my heart? I will expose more of my thoughts here. The more beautiful and sexier one looks, the more I like them. Oh my God, is that what a saint is like? I used to be a permanent resident of Zimbabwe, so why did I leave? I went to Vanuatu and wanted to build a home there, so why did I not? I am a Chinese citizen, so why did I leave my birth country and settle down in Canada? It turns out that essentially, I like better living environments. I finally understood what Christ Jesus meant when he said, "For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath." This is the energy flow diagram. After seeing and understanding this energy flow diagram, as people, we must strive to make ourselves excellent all round. The more excellent, the more energy one will get, and the more imperfect, the less energy they will get. It is useless to complain, to cry and shout, to blow up, or to have trouble with others. The only way that works is for you to make yourself excellent. This is the true meaning of God helps those who help themselves. 测试一下你是不是真男子. Are you a real man? Xuefeng, March 29, 2021. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Care. Having any of the following behaviors will reduce your manliness. Bullying those who are weaker than you. Bullying woman. Flattering those in power. Being jealous of people who are superior to you. Being oppressed outside, but then releasing your hostility at home. Being obedient outside but bossy at home. Having no courage to resist injustice. Intervening in internal struggles rather than to expand living spaces outside. Having any of the following behaviors will increase your manliness. Taking care of your own affairs without needing help. Making people around you happy, joyous, free, and blessed. Tolerating and caring for women, but never abusing them physically or emotionally. Believing that being sympathized and pitied by others is shameful. Taking action against and refuting evil when you should. Being as gentle as a sheep at home, but as capable as a tiger when outside. Never licking the asses of powerful people. Resolving malpractice issues which have always endangered societies. Making vigorous efforts to improve situations. Being chivalrous and unrestrained. 雪峰自恋看我像不像上帝使者. Xuefeng's narcissism. I must look and act as a messenger of the greatest creator. Xuefeng, April 19, 2021. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Care. The most important thing for people is to make themselves happy each and every day. When external influences are unable to make this happen, they must find ways to entertain, amuse, and love themselves. I, Xuefeng, am a person who can make myself happy every day. There are many ways to enjoy oneself. Let us see how I have made myself happy today. From the tax bills that I have paid to the government over the past 4 years, I have found that during that time, I have received more than 800 guests, 70% of whom have been from Europe, mostly Germany. 20% were from the United States. Canada, and Australia. 6% were from Japan, South Korea, and Hong Kong, and 4% were from various other countries. I checked on the booking website where 98% of the guests had given me full marks in their messages, rarely to other aspects of the hotel, but full marks to my personal service. Oh my God! I have satisfied 98% of my 800 guests, 90% of whom are strict and earnest white Westerners. My goodness! Am I really that special? At least I am an excellent server and waiter. Of course, there was one guest who only gave me 5 points, and my full score was only 10. So how did I fail him? I thought about it and finally concluded that he must have been scolded by his sister-in-law, and with nowhere else to vent his anger, he took it out on me. Or he might have dreamed that I abducted her, so he was angry with me. The above data is reliable because the booking website is external and is controlled by a Dutch agency, so there is no chance for me to do anything tricky, nor can I hire a shill to give me a high score because everyone who rates it must have booked a room through the website, has stayed in my hotel, and has paid a commission to the booking website. It is impossible to find anyone to rate and comment on the booking website at will. Yeah, the facts prove that I am a talent and I should be proud and happy. Do you all know how I let strangers pay me while complimenting me? For example, a young couple stayed in my hotel for one night and paid a room rate equivalent to more than 156 Canadian dollars and left a tip equivalent to 20 Canadian dollars. They also said on the website that I am a host worthy of $1 million. I hope that $1 million they mentioned are not Zimbabwean or Venezuelan currency, but at least Canadian currency. Here is how I did it. I combed my hair every day to be as smooth as if licked by a cow. My clothes were always clean and tidy. My gestures and expressions were always appropriate. I always smiled, never grinned evilly or giggled or laughed obsessively as if I were looking at my sister-in-law. If that were the case, my female guests would have called the police. Of course, one must learn to chat and joke with the guests as they eat. What can you joke about? Anything that can make them happy. Westerners like humor, so find something to make the guest happy. If you do this, they will be much more likely to rate you with high marks. See how easy it is to make strangers praise you. To make yourself and even strangers happy is the most meaningful thing in life. For the past 15 or 16 years, I have made hundreds of Chanyuan Celestials happy, or it can be said that I have coaxed them to be happy, and more than 170 Chanyuan Celestials have written articles to praise me emotionally. Thinking about them while I am in my bed makes me feel like I am sleeping on clouds. I just cannot help it, and if I were unhappy, I would feel as if I were betraying Chairman Mao himself. I finally realized the truth. The so-called messenger of the greatest creator is someone who can make everyone in the world happy so that they will feel glorious even if they are wearing split pants and are eating pickled vegetables and coarse foods. They will feel that they are more delicious than any delicacies. I have coaxed thousands of people to be happy, and when everyone in the world is happy, if I do not say so myself, everyone will say, "This Xuefeng guy must truly be a messenger of the greatest creator." Imagining the future, how can I not be happy? I would always rather be happy. 修心就是想把砖块磨成镜. To cultivate one's mind is to polish a brick into a mirror. Xuefeng, March 24, 2021. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Peter. The cultivating world always advocates that people should cultivate the heart. At first, I felt that this term was too profound to be understood. It must be right. But the more I practiced it, the more I realized that I was fooled and got the feeling that this was like teaching people to polish bricks into mirrors. Where is the mind? Is it inside the chest cavity or outside? Is it in cosmic time and space or in bread and milk? Is it square or round? Is it in black and white or in color? Is it made of meat or mud? Buddha Shakyamuni warned, neither the past, the present, nor the future of the mind can be found, since the heart, the mind, does not exist. What should I cultivate? How should I cultivate it? House leaks can be repaired, clothes can be repaired, mobile phones can be repaired, roads can be repaired, but how do we fix the mind? Phenomenon gives birth to minds, but minds can transcend over phenomenon. The mind does not exist. Without the phenomena of the universe and without it, there would be no mind. 100 years ago, was there such a saying as, "Hi, he only has watching TV on his mind"? No, because before TV appeared, how could you have watching TV on your mind? Ask a 7 or 8-year-old child, "Is your wife in your heart?" How does the 7 or 8-year-old child answer? He does not have a wife at all, so how can he have his wife on his mind? Some people say, his mind is smaller than the eye of a needle. How is it possible to cultivate a mind that is smaller than the eye of a needle? Some people say his mind is bigger than the sky. How is it possible to cultivate a mind that is bigger than the sky? In Zen, there is a theory of changing your surroundings with the mind. This statement is reasonable. At least you can understand what it means. But if you advocate cultivating the mind, it is like a tiger that wants to eat the sky with nowhere to start. So, I understood that the so-called cultivating of the mind was a trap to fool a fool. 放弃做自己才是修炼的上乘之路. The best method of self-cultivation is to give up on being yourself. Xuefeng, March 24th, 2021. Translated by Yu, edited by Peter. The saint has no decided opinions and feelings, but regards the people's opinions and feelings as his own. The saint has no sense of self. He senses Tao and unites with Tao. The Tao is me, and I am the Tao. Christ Jesus taught us, if any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will save it. Buddha Shakyamuni taught us, if a bodhisattva thoroughly understands the dharma of no self, he is a true bodhisattva. Celestial Laozi taught us, is what we value and what we fear within ourselves. We have fears because we have a self. When we do not regard that self as a self, what have we to fear? Therefore, he who values the world as his self may then be entrusted with the government of the world. And if he who loves the world as his self, the world may then be entrusted to his care. Only by being unselfish can one fulfill one's wishes, and only by being selfless can one accomplish himself. So, give up on being yourself, do not be yourself. Only when you abandon yourself, you will be completely relaxed and free. Only by being selfless can you enter the kingdom of freedom. Self-improvement means improve yourself by abandoning yourself. Self-refinement means refine yourself by abandoning yourself. Without abandoning yourself and insisting on being yourself, you will never understand the truth of becoming a celestial, Buddha, or God, and you will never be able to climb the peak of life and life. The model of being yourself is too small, and its realm is too low. There is no being yourself in the teachings of gods, Buddhas, and celestials. Instead, they teach us not to have an ego, but to be selfless. With an ego, there are thorns and spears everywhere. There are always contradictions and conflicts. One is unable to live in harmony with people, unable to live in harmony with nature. Without an ego, there are green hills and blue waters everywhere. There are light breezes and a clear moon always. One can get along well with people, unite with nature, and unite with Tao. When contradictions and conflicts occur, that's because you want to be yourself. If you do not want to be yourself, but melt yourself into the other party, where are the conflicts and contradictions from? Why do couples divorce? Because they both want to be themselves. China and the United States are in conflict because they both want to be themselves. In a collective, if everyone gives up on being himself, the collective will be harmonious and auspicious. If everyone wants to be himself, the collective will be a mess of quarrels and fights. Readers may want to ask, what if I give up on myself, but the other party is uncivilized and barbaric? Should I bear insults, be lowly, and be bullied and oppressed by him? Here we need to trace history, to track down the reasons, and ask ourselves why I met him or her. The debt is to be paid, and we must believe in karma. At the same time, we must firmly believe in the fairness of Tao. Since Tao is fair, then leave everything to Tao to arrange and deal with. What we need to do is to be non-attached and abandon ourselves. The world is faultless. All faults lie within ourselves. The absolutely beautiful things are only for the enjoyment of absolutely beautiful lives, and no soul in hell has been wronged. Do you think that you are in your current situation because you have been wronged? Hasn't everything been created by yourself? Reality is the projection of one's own consciousness. If there is something wrong, the problem lies in your own consciousness. Sometimes it is easy for us to blame the government and the leaders for all of our problems. In fact, the root cause is still our own. It will take a long speech to explore this truth, so I will just end it here. I'm conducting an experiment of copying the 1,000-year world of the kingdom of heaven in the human world. This experiment has been going on for 11 years. The Chanyuan celestials who have participated in the experiment can testify what are the results of being oneself and abandoning oneself. All those who have insisted on being themselves have left, and those who have abandoned themselves have stayed. If what Xuefeng has said is not right, then what the God, Buddha, and Celestial has said must be right. 成为你自己的提法是无稽之谈. The idea of be yourself is nonsense. Xuefeng, March 23, 2021. Translated by Yu, edited by Peter. there are a lot of expressions of be yourself on the internet and in WeChat groups, which means not to compare yourself with others, not to listen to others' opinions about yourself, and not to imitate others, but to live as who you are and live your life yourself. The thought is good, and the purpose is right, but it's an unattainable aspiration. First, you is difficult to determine. This is an ambiguous concept that can neither be quantified nor clearly defined. Who am I? Where did I come from? Where will I go? Without solving these three problems, how can I find myself? From the perspective of reincarnation, some people may be reincarnated from pigs. Being yourself and be yourself means continuing to live as a pig. Some people may be reincarnated from rats, and being yourself means to be a rat. So, where are you from? Being yourself means go back to where you came from. People are the products of society, and social changes will lead to changes in people. For example, with communication, people used to send letters delivered by people or delivered on horseback. Later, it was conducted by the post office and then by telephone. Today, communication depends on the internet, WeChat, and video channels. I wonder what kind of communication does become yourself use? Can you not change with the changes in society? How can you be yourself? People are malleable and flexible. No one knows what kind of person he will become in his lifetime. Ask the prisoners in a prison if they had planned to be prisoners before they were imprisoned. Ask Hitler if he had made the choice to become the culprit of World War II. Are they trying to be themselves? Or haven't they become themselves? Being yourself has a terrible consequence, that is, to isolate oneself from society, to live in the state of beauty that you have imagined, entertaining yourself without knowing that danger is approaching you, to feel that you have become a Buddha or a celestial, indulging in self-intoxication and self-delusion, but the actual situation is that you have been abandoned by society. The reality is, I cannot become myself. I must abide by the laws that control society. I must abide by the current social operating rules. I can't lose my temper and kill people if I wish to. I must compromise when I should, retreat when it's time to retreat. I cannot just go my own way. I cannot help but consider the feelings of people around me. If people around me hate me, and I still stubbornly choose to be myself, then am I a granite-headed walking dead? Other things that cannot be quantified and clearly defined are conscience, mind, self-nature, love, and so on. These are deceptive concepts, such as conscience. Who can quantify and define conscience? Who knows whether someone's conscience is red or black? The best way is not to talk about good or bad conscience, but deal with each other in accordance with the contractual relationship. For example, with self-nature. What is self-nature? In the so-called perfect self-nature, all things are the manifestation of our nature. These all cannot be quantified and clearly defined. How do we perfect our nature? Can our nature produce 10,000 kinds of dharma or not? If yes, please show it to everyone. Another example is love. Originally, love is just a state of life. Once love is spoken from the mouth, it is no longer love. When you say, I love you, how do you love? Is it that you will give me $10 million or a bouquet of roses? Or will you wash my feet? Or cook me a potato to eat? Words that sound beautiful may just be deceptive tricks. In Western society, there is no Buddhism, no Wang Yangming, no Rinpoche, no Karmapa, but there are many Nobel Prize winners. It is easy to be a master in the East, but it is not easy to be a Nobel Prize winner, because the former can play with concepts. Whoever plays with the concept well enough can be a master, but the latter must be rigorous, meticulous, and must work hard. Being yourself can go to hell. Abandoning yourself is the correct path. We welcome the birth of craftsmen, scientists, sages, and people who are unselfish and selfless to work for the happiness of the working people. 冲突发生在野蛮与野蛮、野蛮与文明之间. Conflicts occur between barbarism and between barbarism and civilization. Xuefeng, March 23, 2021. Translated by Qin Yu, edited by Peter. Conflicts will occur between barbarism and between barbarism and civilization, but no conflicts will occur between civilization and civilization. If we see two people, two tribes, two ethnic groups, or two countries fighting, there is no doubt that either both are barbaric, or one is barbaric and the other is civilized, but there will never be a conflict between two civilizations. If the fight between the two parties is extremely brutal, it must be a conflict between two groups of barbarians. If the fighting between the two parties is not so cruel and sometimes a compromise is made, and occasionally there is a truce, but overall, the fighting always continues, it must be a conflict between barbarism and civilization. Where there is conflict, there must be barbarism. The so-called barbarian is not keeping promises, not following rules, not fulfilling a contract, always wanting to take advantage of the other party, always wanting to control the other party, and always wanting to take the other party's possessions as his own. If there was a conflict between two people, and each believed that he was right, but in terms of the nature of the conflict, either the two people were both barbarians, or one of them must be a barbarian, it is impossible for both of them to be civilized. From this, we can draw the conclusion that those who often clash with other people must be barbarians, and are definitely not civilized people. Generally speaking, it is the barbarian who acts unjustly and forcefully in a conflict. The more one is good at compromising and self-reflecting, the more civilized they must be. There is a special phenomenon that when two or more barbarians encounter civilization, in order to deal with civilization together, the barbarians will temporarily unite and confront the civilization as allies. At this time, there will be peace between the two barbarians. They will not be in conflict with each other. But when their common enemy disappears, the temporary peace between the two barbarians will be broken, and mutual conflict will definitely occur between them again. This fact is determined by the nature of barbarism. 人与人之间冷酷一点好不好? Would it be good if people could treat each other a way that is more uncaring? Xuefeng, March 22, 2021. Translated by Qin Yu, edited by Peter. Undoubtedly, people like to be warm, concerning, caring, soothing, comforting, supporting each other, and jointly resisting their misfortunes and tribulations on the journey of life. After experiencing the ups and downs of life, I found that people spend too much time and energy in taking care of emotions between people in their lives. Therefore, I will offer an unconventional way of thinking. What if people would treat each other in a way that is a little less caring? In the animal world, in order to survive, all birds are uncaring. Once they hatch and feed their children to the stage where they are foraging on their own, the adult bird decisively implements an uncaring policy on the children. They pull out and expel the children from the nest and let them look for food and survive in nature. It is almost the same for mammals. As soon as they can find food for themselves, parents generally do not care very much for their offspring. Humans are different from animals. People care for each other. Even when parents are very old, they still want to find ways to care for and look after their children. It was reported that there is a mother whose son obtained a doctorate degree in the United States. After the son's returning to China, he did not look for a job. Instead, he stayed at home and played games all day even when he reached his 40s. All his living expenses depended on his mother, who was in her 70s and suffered from poor health. Most parents have this experience. In their children's childhood, when their children are upset, rolling around and crying on the ground, the parents will try to persuade their children to be happy. Especially the grandparents, who may love their grandchildren more, will try by every means to make them happy. In fact, husbands and wives will consider each other's emotions even more. When one is unhappy, the other has to try to persuade the other to be happy. From the beginning of a romantic relationship through marriage and into old age, couples spend an enormous amount of time and energy caring for each other emotionally. To maintain a good functioning of the relationship between people, one must take care of the other's emotions. Even if they make trouble unreasonably, the other one must also take care of their emotions. The problem is that people are imperfect, and there will always be emotional outbursts. The price people pay for taking care of emotions is huge. Is it okay to be less caring with people? For example, when a child rolls on the ground and cries, not only do you not persuade him to behave himself and instead, you give him 2 slaps on his bottom, what will happen? I do not think he will roll around and cry anymore. For example, after having raised your child to 18 years of age, you then let him find his own means of livelihood. Even if he goes to college, let him find a way to pay the tuition fee on his own. In this way, the child will become a person with a strong ability to survive independently in the future. As for buying a house and getting married, it all should depend on the child's own ability to pay for it, and parents should no longer have to worry about how to pay for them. For example, what if between husband and wife, once the wife cries, makes trouble and threatens to hang herself, the husband scolds, beats, and threatens to kill her? Good grief! Do not give in and do not consider her emotions. In this way, the relationship may become more harmonious, beautiful, and healthier. Let the strong live beautifully, and let the weak linger out a feeble existence. This is in line with the laws of nature. Here is one point. People who are unable to work, such as the elderly and disabled, need to be taken care of by the strong. As long as they have the ability to work, they on no account should be taken care of. If you have the ability to work, why should others take care of you? I am not interested in charity and relief services. Human beings should encourage the strong to do something more substantial. People should follow the strong. In international relations, unite with the strong countries. As for weak and poor countries, best to let them die. In Xuefeng-style communism, I emphasize dictatorship and Superman philosophy and deny democratic mechanisms. Whoever is strong can take charge. Whoever contributes the most can be the leader. Whoever has the greatest ability can be the leader. Whoever can be selfless can be the leader. Isn't this fair and just? In Xuefeng-style communism, all people must participate in labor, and whoever does not work, throw them out. Whoever is lazy, throw them out. Whoever is always in a bad mood and disgruntled, throw them out. Whoever bullies people, throw them out. Everyone must be of value, must create value, and if they have no value, throw them out. In Xuefeng-style communism, the most annoying people are those who talk a lot and do nothing, and those who give advice. And the most favored people are those who say, "I will take care of it." Do not offer help if someone does not ask for it. This is one of the values of life genuine. Isn't it uncaring? Is this correct? I do not know. Only practice and time can prove it and give the answer. 好无止境，坏无底线. There are no limits to goodness and badness. Xuefeng, March 18, 2021. Translated by Qinyu. Edited by Peter. What is the highest state of goodness? Answer. There is no highest state for goodness. It has no limit. What is the lowest state of badness? Answer. Badness has no lowest state. It has no limit. Due to the needs of entertaining guests, I have grapes available for 365 days a year. American, Canadian, and Brazilian grapes are all available. Red, purple, black, and green grapes are all available. Large, small, round, and long grapes are all available. I have tried all kinds of sour, sweet, and sweet, and astringent grapes and have gotten the impression that these are all of the grapes that exist in the world. However, on March 10, 2021, I got to eat a different kind of grape, which is Mexican, green, big, seedless, with thin skin, sweet, and very moist. I never thought that there were such high-quality grapes in the world. Do not mention streams to him who has seen a great ocean. The clouds that circle Wu's peak are the only clouds for him. After eating this kind of Mexican grape, I am afraid that no other grapes in the world will be as appealing to my mouth anymore. But wait a moment. Goodness has no limit. There may be grapes that are better than these Mexican grapes on the earth, and if not on the earth, they must be in the 1,000-year world and the 10,000 world. With the changes of time, space, and climate, grapes better than Mexican grapes may be discovered one day. In 1988, I was a teacher in a middle school. Once, the principal held a dinner and asked each teacher to bring 2 dishes so that we could taste the cooking of each teacher. When I tasted a teacher Kai's dishes, which were extremely unpalatable, considering teacher Kai's face and dignity, I held my breath and swallowed them. 30 years have passed. This scene and the unpalatable dishes at that time are still vivid in my eyes. How could people make such unpalatable dishes? Is there any food in the world that tastes worse than Teacher Kai's dishes? It's definite, because badness has no bottom line. I know from the Mexican grapes that there are better spaces in the universe, and they must be more beautiful than the most beautiful place on Earth. There must be species that are absolutely beautiful in life. Where are they? These absolutely beautiful things must be waiting to be enjoyed by absolutely beautiful lives. When our own quality becomes more and more beautiful, we will certainly encounter an absolutely beautiful time and space and an absolutely beautiful life. Goodness has no limit, and there must be absolute beauty above perfection. I have no doubt about this. From this, we can infer how precious life is. Imagining an absolutely beautiful time and space makes one so excited. As long as we continuously improve and perfect the quality of our own lives, all the good things will appear on the journey of our life. Ram Teacher Kai's dishes. We know that there is a kind of badness in this world that is unimaginable, such as poisonous steamed buns, poisonous fruits, poisonous vegetables. Badness has no limit. There are many things worse than toxic food, like cutting off a man's limbs and drowning him in a wine jar with only his head exposed and slowly torturing him to death. There is no limit for bad things. Knowing that badness has no limit, we should be cautious on the journey of our lives, cherish our time, and run towards the light every day. Otherwise, once we fall into the mud of badness, the sea of bitterness is boundless. Goodness has no limit. Let's constantly trek and climb toward the new oasis for life, the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. 看看你是否正走在前往天国的路上. Check and see if you are on the way to heaven. Xuefeng, February 1st, 2021. Translated by Chinyu, edited by Peter. I clearly remember an evening in the summer of 1963. At that time, there were no newspapers, no radios, and of course no TVs and mobile phones. People's knowledge was passed on through chatting. At that time, every evening after dinner, the adults gathered together to brag and chat. The children either sat or stood quietly listening to the adults bragging, or just ran around and played. The reason why I can clearly remember that evening is because an uncle said, "When it is noontime where we are, it is midnight in some places. When it is summer where we are, it is winter in some places." I remember that everyone burst into laughter and said that uncle is whimsical and what he is saying is nonsense. In the thinking of people in the countryside at that time, as long as where I am is daytime, everywhere is daytime, and as long as what I feel is summer, it is summer everywhere else on earth. Then, when I say that there is a heaven in the universe, and that heavens are different everywhere, would you say that I am whimsical and talking nonsense? Do you think that heaven is the same as on earth? If I say that there is no sun and no night in the 1,000-year world of heaven, and the sun in the 10,000-year world of heaven is always fixed in the same place, and everything in the Elysium Celestial Islands continent is created by transformation, do you think I am out of my mind? People's understanding of the great world is based on their own limited cognition, and to understand the infinite world with limited cognition is like a blind man trying to figure out what an elephant is by just touching one part of it. The first time I went abroad was to Zimbabwe, Africa, where I felt the beauty of heaven for the first time. On the third day in Zimbabwe, I secretly made up my mind that I would never leave Zimbabwe again. I stayed there for 17 years. What I want to say is that there is an infinitely beautiful place in this universe that no one can imagine, and that is heaven. Now, please check if you are on your way to heaven. There are 3 steps to see if you have crossed the path to heaven. The first step, you often yearn for distance. You feel that there are respectable, amiable, and lovable people in the distance, and there are endless beautiful sceneries in the distance. You love life, but you feel that you are a little out of place with the environment that you are in. You are busy every day for your survival, but deep in your heart, you do not like, even hate this kind of rushing. Inside, you do not like to work for money, power, status, and reputation. You just want to be happy, joyous, free, and blessed in life. You hate to see people controlling other people, hate being swayed and controlled by people and your environment. You hope that one day there will be a great person in your life who will take you far away, to a place you have missed very much. When you have these thoughts and feelings, you are actually on the way to heaven. The second step, you do not want to get married. You instinctively hate family life. You want to escape from marriage and family life. From the people you know before your eyes, you do not want to fight for the few people in front of you. You are crying inside. You feel very tired. You are eagerly looking for another way and channel out for yourself through the internet and WeChat and other media. You do not want to foster secular ties with anyone anymore. You like light association with people instead of deep ones. But in your heart, you are willing to meet a beloved one to whom you can deliver your whole body and soul. You are struggling between ideals and reality, hoping to end your current life trajectory and to immediately step into another unfamiliar field that is completely different from that of your past, the field that you have been waiting for a long time. When you think, feel, and work toward your ideal direction and goal, you are already on the way to heaven. The third step, you have completely stepped out the maze of affection. You are working hard to end your secular ties. You are actively and optimistically accumulating mental and spiritual wealth. You are pulling out the jealousy, comparison, complaining, anger, and other weeds and toxic weeds from your soul garden. You start to feel only the messages that make you happy. You are gradually moving away from the concepts and shackles of country, nation, political party, religion, and family and are looking for people who resonate with your own wishes. Happiness, joy, freedom, and blessedness have become the norm in your daily life. You will never hurt anyone, any life, and the natural environment. You are especially eager to integrate into the idyllic life of nature as soon as possible, to live a life of working and resting as the sun rises and sets, where no one pockets anything found on the ground and doors are not bolted at night. All these phenomena show that you are on your way to heaven. Whether or not you can go to heaven has nothing to do with your diploma, wisdom, status, wealth, appearance, reputation, whether you have read the scriptures or chanted sutras, whether you have formally acknowledged someone as your master and met many masters and capable persons, and has nothing to do with whether you are talkative and eloquent, has nothing to do with how many good deeds you have done in the past. It is only related to your nature of Tathagata and is closely related to your state of mind. May the wise men who are walking on the road to heaven not hesitate and not stop in their steps. As long as they are sincere and continue to trek and climb, they will be able to achieve their dreams and realize their ideals to reach heaven. 事实是最好的审判官. Facts are the best judges. Xuefeng, January 27, 2021. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Peter. No matter how charming, how beautiful, or how extravagantly colorful your words may be, they are worthless. Let them be confirmed by facts. Any theory or preaching that is not supported by facts is not credible. Any conclusive discourse that cannot be verified by facts is the resorting to sophistry and is irrational. Theories that have been proven to be unworkable, including those in the so-called classics, have all been fabricated. All theories and discourses that have not been verified by facts are falsehoods and should be dismissed. If in the face of facts, you still resort to sophistry, try to cover them up in every possible way, try to find all kinds of excuses, and argue with others about them, it can surely be said that you are unreasonable. We cannot prove the rationality and correctness of one theory using another theory, just as a lie cannot prove itself not a lie by still another lie. The only way to prove its rationality and correctness is to show the facts. If the facts cannot prove that you are right, then all your theories and preaching are false. If you say that you can grow a 200-kilogram Chinese cabbage, well, do it and show us your 200-kilogram Chinese cabbage. If you say that you are a Buddhist master, okay, first, educate a Buddha and let us see the result. If you say that you are a master of traditional Chinese culture and are proficient in traditional culture, okay, please let us see the facts about your respect for your parents, harmony between you and your wife, harmony in your neighborhood, and the filial piety in your children. It's easy to speak big and beautiful words, but they only count when you can put them into practice. Otherwise, they are only catchphrases and are all a form of self-deception. To verify whether a person has real talents, real connotation, and whether he lives up to his words, we should not listen to what he says, but we should see what he is doing and what he has done. Facts are the best judges. To verify whether a set of theories and a doctrine are reasonable, legal, and will conform to human nature, we can only let the facts speak for themselves, because facts are the best judges. If there are no facts, they are just nonsense. Respecting facts is the basic morality of a human being. 观世间百态明天国之路. Observe the human natures of the world and understand the way to heaven. Xuefeng, November 14, 2020. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Peter. I have traveled 20 years on the path of life genuine, the way of the greatest creator. Looking back, I feel more and more that I have chosen the right path. This path is the way to heaven. Other than that, I haven't seen any other way that is simpler, easier, clearer, and more direct. The most direct evidence is that more than 70 Chanyuan celestials have become celestial beings. Among them, there are 3 families. 8 out of 10 members of one family have become celestial beings, a family of 5 have all become celestial beings, and a family of 3 have all become celestial beings. Old people can enjoy their twilight years, the children can grow up healthily and are all outstanding, and I have to admire the magic and ingenuity of this path. With 20 changings of the seasons, I have thoroughly and clearly seen through the world, the shortcomings of Western and Eastern civilizations, the state of life and the confusion of everyone, and the root cause of the suffering of human beings and its effect on everyone. Looking at this magnificent picture of history in the world, I thus understand the limitations and helplessness of Jesus, Shakyamuni, Lao Tzu, Muhammad, and the saints and sages of the past. I also understand the confusion and defects of capitalism and socialism. The most valuable thing is that I understand that the presidents of various countries are not celestial beings, but mortals, and that the philosophers, scientists, professors, experts, artists, celebrities, rich men, and masters that appeared in the world are also in confusion. They are also living their lives in a muddle-headed way. The most interesting thing is to look at the lives of the toiling people, which are pathetic, sad, pitiful, and regrettable. The more stubborn that people are, the more they do not understand the truth and reason. The more stubborn that people are, the more miserable they are. There is another interesting phenomenon. The more people like reasoning with others, the more they do not understand the truth. Fall into a pit of one's own digging seems to be very suitable for people who like reasoning. People who pursue the extraordinary and enjoy being ordinary are very pitiful. People who pursue the extraordinary seem to stand and shout in the wind, a bit like a madman does, while people who indulge in the ordinary are a bit like pigs reared in a pigsty, they just know no other way. Those who truly understand the truth of the world are those who have returned from the extraordinary to the ordinary, and they are the ones who enjoy life. The ordinary that has never been extraordinary is mediocre, and extraordinary that has not returned to the ordinary is impetuous. The plot of the world will never be played out according to any individual subjective will. Presidents cannot do it, sages cannot do it, and the general public cannot do it. That is how the Tao is running. All conditioned dharmas will be in vain like bubbles. Only those who know that it will rain tomorrow and go out with umbrellas are those who know the plot in their hearts. And those who know the plot and give guidance to others are the enlightened masters of the world. As a human, no matter what you say or do, you will attend to one thing and lose another. Life without an ultimate goal is a life of confusion. No matter how great and brilliant one feels, it is a life of clouds, a life of contradictions, and a life of misery, because when death comes, you will feel sad because of fear and helplessness. Without a frame of reference and a reference object as the benchmark of self-improvement and self-refinement, people will be at a loss. All people's words and deeds will be a form of blundering. When the sun comes out, they will be happy for a while, and when the sun goes down, they will be lost for a while, and they cannot achieve long-lasting tranquility, joy, and peace of mind. A truth needs to be revealed, that is, the more one is ordinary and lacks material wealth, the easier it is for him to become celestial. And the more knowledgeable, capable, and materially rich one is, the more difficult it will be for him to become celestial. This is probably also the reflection of the justness and fairness of the universe's balance mechanism. That is, if you have obtained the benefits of this shore, you will no longer have your welfare on the other shore. A tiger cannot grow wings on its back. With the blessings of the world, you can no longer look forward to the happiness of heaven. According to the practice of life genuine, what Christ Jesus says is true. Happy are you who are poor. Happy are you who are in need of food now. Happy are you who are weeping now. Those who have become celestials in life genuine were all once poor, hungry, and weeping people, while those who are wealthy, full of food, and laughing did not become celestials. It turns out that the greatest creator has been protecting his disadvantaged people. From the laws of the world, people are right no matter what they say and do, and there is no one who is wrong. From the perspective of the law of sublimation of life, people are wrong no matter what they say or do, and there are few people who are right. The chicken soup for the soul is delicious, but it is mostly made of the insight of people with elusive thinking. If you drink too much, you will be drunk and fall into the dust. 与我交往，不要诉说你的烦恼痛苦. When associating with me, do not tell me about your troubles and your pain. Xuefeng, November 18th, 2020. Translated by Yu and edited by Peter. I follow the philosophy of the Superman. This world should be given to those who work hard without fear of hardships, but are always optimistic and romantic. People who talk about their misfortunes and worries all day long should withdraw from the historical stage of this world. Passive, negative, pessimistic people radiate negative energy, and it is too exhausting to associate with people who are full of negative energy. I do not owe you anything, so why should I bear your misfortune and pain? When surviving and living in this era of the world, which one of us is free from troubles and pains? It is just that the strong bury their worries and pains deeply in their hearts as nourishment and motivation to forge ahead. Only the weak talk about their worries and pains all day long and treat others as their emotional trash cans into which they dump the trash that is in their minds. With people who often tell others about their misfortunes and pains, their energy level is below 200, which is a kind of pathological psychology. Not only can they not live out their own lives, but they will also pollute the spirits and souls of others. As the messenger of the greatest creator, the incarnation of gods, Buddhas, and celestials, I, Xuefeng, came to the world to look for healthy people, not to look for sick people, not referring to physical diseases, but to spiritual diseases, let alone to cure people. I harvest ripe crops. Ripe crops are full and flawless. Do not think that I am here to help people in distress. Some people say Xuefeng is a Ziwei saint. That's only your wishful thinking. I won't do a stupid thing like that. I do not even have enough time to flirt with and seduce my sisters-in-law. So how can I have time to take care of your mess? Do not pretend to be pitiful in front of me so that I can feel pity for you. If you help yourself, I will help you. If you want to destroy yourself, I will help to destroy you. To whoever wants to hang himself, I will secretly prepare a rope for you to hang yourself with, and then you cannot live out a life of sunshine and color. If you want sunshine, I will give you light. If you want darkness, your wish will be fulfilled. In addition, I hope netizens do not give me advice, do not try to point out the right way to me, and do not insult my IQ. I follow the concept of do not offer help if someone does not ask for it. If I didn't ask you, do not help me. Of course, if you think your EQ, IQ, and SQ, spiritual quotient, are higher than mine, then teach me. But once you start teaching me, I'm going to ask you 100,000 questions, and if you cannot answer them, then shut up early in the conversation. Either follow me or go your own way. If you follow me, then do exactly what I say. Xuefeng will never collaborate with anyone, let alone ask anyone to teach me how to walk and how to handle my affairs. Oh people, live out your life of sunshine and colors. In this way, you will benefit endlessly and add a bright splendor to society. That is the correct way of living. 成就别人才能成就自己. You can only fulfill your mission in life by helping others. Xuefeng, December 4th, 2020. Translated by Yu and edited by Peter. When flour is made into steamed buns, its mission has been accomplished. When the fruit of the tree is ripe, its mission has been accomplished. When people say farewell to the world with no regrets in the end, their missions in their lives have been accomplished. When a person is sublimated into an immortal or Buddha, his mission in life has been accomplished. When a person dies, no matter what his status has been, rich or poor, famous or wise, if he still has concerns, remorse, resentment, regret, nostalgia, and fear, it proves that his mission in life has not yet been accomplished. On the contrary, if his life is fulfilled, his mission has been accomplished. The process of helping others is actually the fulfilling of yourself. The more you help others, the greater your achievements will be. The more a person serves others, the greater his achievements will be. The reason why Jesus and Sakyamuni became God and Buddha is because of the great number of individuals that they served. Of all the services, the number of beneficiaries of formless almsgiving is the widest and most extensive, so those who give formless alms have achieved the most. Whether I, Xuefeng, can achieve my mission in life or not in the end depends entirely on what Chanyuan celestials can achieve or what they can't. If Chanyuan celestials achieve much, I will definitely have achieved much. The more Chanyuan Celestials achieve, the greater my achievements will be. If Chanyuan Celestials cannot achieve anything, then Xuefeng is just a bunch of stinky shit, nothing more. So, what I will achieve in life will be by helping Chanyuan Celestials in fulfilling themselves. The recent phenomenon of great freedom, transformation of has fully proved this point. To help others is to fulfill themselves. Great freedom, transformation of Lotus, not only forwarded and disseminated a great amount of Life-a-Genuine content in many WeChat groups, but also wrote articles explaining the values of Life-a-Genuine and the essence of Xuefeng. By this, she is helping others. As a result, the reputation of Lotus Celestial herself is getting better and better. At least more than 100 Chanyuan Celestials are full of praise for her. Think about it, many people can only receive praise from a few others, while Lotus Celestial has been praised by more than 100 people in a short period of time, which is not a small achievement. If it is not for helping others, how can she receive praise from them? If you do not help others, who will help you? I have been in contact with many people. Take WeChat group netizens as an example. Most of them add me on WeChat just to promote themselves, to absorb the nourishment of others, but they never want to pay even a little. Not to mention forwarding Chanyuan articles, they are not even willing to pay me by clicking a like. It shows how stingy and selfish they are. So how can they make any achievements? Some netizens really have profound wisdom and understand a lot of truths, but they do not understand the truth that they cannot achieve anything themselves unless they help others. As time goes by, they will completely be submerged in the long river of history, and everything they did will have been pointless. From this, we know that the more selfish we are, the less we will accomplish ourselves, and the more selfless we are, the more we will accomplish ourselves. No matter how much and how profound is truth that we have understood, if you do not put it into your own actions, it will only be a fleeting cloud. No one will trust a man who talks a lot without any actions, or if his actions are inconsistent with what he says. In today's world, as far as the group is concerned, Chanyuan Celestials are persons who understand truth the most. Just think about it. After suffering so many devastating blows for over 10 years, Chanyuan Celestials are still full of confidence and are optimistic, romantic, and keep on building new homes, playing and laughing, moving on together happily. Why? This is only because Chanyuan Celestials are all selfless and unselfish people who want to help others and fulfill the cause of Life-a-Genuine. Chanyuan Celestials only want to give and dedicate, never care about personal gains and losses, and never think of themselves. What is the result? Of course, their lives have all been fulfilled. I said the above just to point out a bright way ahead for those who are predestined. If you want to fulfill yourself, then go all out to help others. Otherwise, everything you do, and you yourself, will come to nothing. 女子如何征服大丈夫? How a woman will conquer a real man. Xuefeng. January 1st, 2021. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Peter. We know that a real man does not bully weak women. This is a real man's weakness. As long as you focus on this weakness and exert your strength, you will surely be able to conquer the real man. How do you exert your strength? Being cutesy, acting flirtatiously, showing weakness, showing softness, and being obedient. With these 5 actions, a real man will surely be under your control. When encountering a real man, women must never show rigidity, indulgence, toughness, willfulness, and viciousness. These characteristics cannot subdue a real man, because a real man is rigid inside, and if you use rigidity to control his rigidity, it will lead to conflict and both will get hurt. Only with softness can you overcome firmness. At the same time, in the face of a real man, women must not use words and expressions of grievance, blame, condemnation, and resentment. These characteristics will keep a real man 1,000 miles away, and a real man is free of all passive, negative, and pessimistic emotions. These words are something that a real man is unwilling to accept or bear. Treating a real man in the same way as treating an ordinary man would be extremely inappropriate. If you do not believe me, try it. 人生的又一个奥秘. Another mystery of life. Xuefeng. January 17th, 2021. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Peter. Someone was going to build a luxury villa somewhere, the drawings were ready, and the materials were ready. At that time, A geologist came and told him, I can tell you 100% for sure that in 4 years, there will be a big earthquake where you choose to build the villa and then all the buildings will be razed to the ground. Could you tell me, will the owner of the villa continue building it? Someone's child was admitted to a famous university in the United States, and the whole family celebrated. Then a fortune teller came and said, it's better for your child not to go to study in the United States, because in 4 years, on the day of his graduation, he will be involved in a car accident. I would like to ask, will this person still want to send his child to go to the university in the United States? Someone was going to invest 1 million yuan in a real estate business when a stranger came and said, you'd better stop doing business in real estate. You will make 100 million in the first 10 years, but in the 11th year you will not only go bankrupt, but also be taken to prison and all your property will be confiscated. The question, is he still planning to get into the real estate business? When a person knows exactly that what he is doing will bring him misfortune in the near future, generally speaking, he will stop acting on it. The problem is that when a couple are about to conceive and give birth, they do not need to ask anyone. Everyone knows that the child they give birth to will surely die when he grows up. Even if they know that the child will surely die, people will still give birth to children. Throughout the history of human beings, the vast majority of people's lives will end in tragedy, and their lives will be spent in trouble, pain, anxiety, and sorrow. Even so, people will come to the world and have a try at it. They have all devoted themselves to the hard work and struggle in life with the fluke mentality of, I will live well. Generation after generation, they have been multiplying like this, which can be described as, in the Changjiang River, the waves behind drive those ahead, and no tears will come when you do not see the coffin. Why are you so irrational? The reason is that people do not know what will happen tomorrow, so they live with hope and anticipation. They can't help themselves but are pushed by their survival instinct and by the tide. There is no other way but to do so. This is the mystery. People enter the world to experience life. The process of life is a process of experience. Apart from this, these people have nothing to gain. Knowing this mystery, we will find that the geologist, the fortune teller, and the stranger mentioned at the beginning of the article did a bad thing. They should not tell the truth to the builder, should not tell the parents what will happen to their kid who will go to school in the United States 4 years later, should not tell the one who is going to become a real estate businessman what will happen in 10 years, because the truth deprives them of the process of experiencing life. Just imagine if you tell a newborn pig, when you grow up and you will be fattened, people will stab a knife into your heart to kill you and then they will eat you. Can this pig still have a happy and joyous life? It is cruel to tell the truth. It is more in line with human nature and natural law to let people live in a daze. Even if the truth is told, few people are willing to believe it. Sometimes lies are more compassionate than the truth. Live happily. Every day should be a happy day, and life experience is very important. 背西洋面朝阳. Will you go backwards to the sunset or face the rising sun? Xuefeng. November 27, 2022. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Peter. Toward evening, feeling indisposed and listless, I drove my chariot to an ancient elevation. The setting sun looks glorious indeed, only it is so close to dusk. Since it is near dusk, the sun will set, and darkness will consume the earth. The red sun rises in the east with majestic momentum, and the first rays of the sun color the gown of the green mountain. Thousands of miles of mountains and rivers receive their charm from the sun, while the rain and dew lead the literary excellence for the ages. When facing the rising sun, always start the new day full of energy. Throw yourself into the embrace of the rising sun, and your future will be assured. Sunset industries will soon be eliminated. For example, with mobile phone cameras, who will make Kodak cameras and point-and-shoot cameras anymore? Who wants to make ox carts and carriages when there are cars? Who wants to buy a flashlight when you can have a mobile phone? Who wants to buy a city traffic map when you have mobile phone navigation? With the popularity of cars with an automatic transmission, who will make cars with a manual transmission? Who will hire workers on the assembly line since robots are now available? With more powerful social software, who will go to QQ? With 800G mobile phones, who will make 20G mobile phones? Yesterday, a lot of industries disappeared. Today, many enterprises have closed. Tomorrow, many people will lose their jobs. The sunset industry is on the verge of bankruptcy and close and entering the History Museum. Do you feel sorry? There is no time for regrets or remorse or no chance to repent or hate. It is worthless and meaningless. When the Qing dynasty replaced the Ming dynasty, those patriots who opposed the Qing dynasty and tried to restore the Ming dynasty became synonymous with reactionary, and their ending was bound to be tragic. With the iPhone 13 Apple mobile phone, other mobile phones will gradually be eliminated by the mobile phone market. And with the Musk Starlink mobile phone, the iPhone 13 will also enter decline. It is an inevitability of the development of human society and an inevitability of history that old generations will be replaced by new ones, and the waves behind will push forward the waves ahead of them. When we stand on the top of the mountain in the Life-Genuine era and look down at all the activities in the world, we will find that many people's pursuits are blind, and they are desperately chasing the sunset, such as the men and women racking their brains and making real effort to get married and start a family. They are running into the darkness and are both pathetic and pitiful, while the Chanyuan celestials who have already climbed to the peak will enjoy the beautiful scenery of the mountains and rivers, but they are still worrying and anxious about whether to plant radish or corn on their small piece of land at the foot of the mountain. With the second home model, who wants to save money to buy a house for themselves? Who wants to sharpen their brains and become a civil servant? Who wants to start a business for their own family? Who will engage in making social connections? With the 800 values for new era human beings, who would study law to become a lawyer or judge? Who still racks their brains to become an official? Who wants to be a soldier and die for his country? Who wants to join a political party or a church? In today's world, only Life-Genuine is a sunrise industry, which is breaking through the horizon and preparing to rise to illuminate the mountains and rivers, while all other activities are sunset industries. In the near future, entering the second home will be the equivalent to owning one of Musk's Starlink mobile phones, with all its powerful functions, and the rest will be like flashlights, cameras, calculators, televisions, newspapers, magazines, ox carts and carriages, all of which will disappear on the horizon of the setting sun. Those who engage in sunset industries are wasting their time and energy and are working diligently in vain. Those who enter Life-Genuine are creating a sunrise industry. Although in the beginning it will be difficult, they will definitely develop with vigor and their futures will be bright. 理想人生全景文解 The Panoramic Interpretation of an Ideal Life. Xuefeng. April 2, 2022. Translated by Qinyu. Edited by Peter. From birth to death, what is the best way to live one's life? Birth, 3 years old. Being accompanied by the mother, since having a mother's company is the safest, warmest, and most comfortable life during infancy. 4 to 6 years old, being accompanied by friends of the same age to live a collective life, supplemented by the guidance of a caring aunt. The whole process is mainly about games and entertainment. 7 to 12 years old, eating together, living together, and going to school together with friends of the same age, learning the knowledge of life, the relationship between man and nature, and properly participating in the labor of all aspects of life, cultivating the ability to live independently, being taught by teachers. There should be more female teachers than male teachers. 13 to 18 years old, should keep on living a collective life, mainly learning science skills, along with music, dance, art, and gymnastics, etc., supplemented by the physiology of puberty and the knowledge of health. Allow them to fall in love freely. Those who are tall and mature early are encouraged to try to have sex. Let them be full of longing for life, full of reverence for life, and full of enthusiasm for life. During this period, they should be guided at least by sage-level adults, preferably celestial guides, and there should be more male than female. It is strictly forbidden for an ignorant person, the laity, and mortals to enter the sphere of adolescent children's lives. 19 to 22 years old, living in a semi-collective life, eating together, but no longer living together. They should carry out high-intensity training in groups according to their different hobbies and specialties, reading extensively, practicing a lot, letting their intelligence explode, and letting them solve all the problems that arise in their lives. Let them understand and master all the historical knowledge and the scientific frontier of knowledge accumulated by human beings. Encourage adventure, uniqueness, completely let go of their sex lives. Let them fully experience the beauty of sex. 23 to 28 years old, This is a period of burning passion, a period full of vitality and creativity. Education and guidance should be stopped to allow everyone to create and live according to their love, giving them maximum freedom to do what they want. Don't interfere with them, don't preach morals, just let their nature fully bloom. During this period, each person should have at least 1 or 2 children. 29 to 46 years old are ripe peaches, the most vigorous time, the most creative season. They should maximize the creation of material wealth and spiritual wealth in their respective positions and fields and create the living environment they want the most. 47 to 60 years old, having accumulated a wealth of life experience, tasted the ups and downs of life. This is the stage of transcendence and the sublimation of life, to fully create spiritual wealth and soul wealth, to become a teacher for children and a role model for young people, to create the most ideal humanistic environment. 61 to 70 years old, mature and fruitful years. They should live like saints, with a benevolent and kind countenance, being calm and steady, like Mount Tai. Beloved by children, consulted by young people, respected by middle-aged people. They are the ballast stone in collective life, the lights in the night. 70 to 120 years old, living a leisurely life, enjoying their carefree and happy old age. The 8 crises of life. There is no maternal love in infancy, a childhood without playmates and a lack of play. There is no education in the knowledge of life in a juvenile. There is no school and sweet love in adolescence. Having no faith and only rushing about and working for food, clothing, housing, and transportation at a young age. In middle age, being tortured by family conflicts and suppressed by the anxiety of survival. In elderly age, being afflicted with illness and having no one around to take care of them. In old age, living a lonely life and being unaccompanied till death. The above 8 major crises in life are perfectly eliminated and resolved in the second home of life genuine. Therefore, the production and living mode of the second home is the most ideal way of life for human beings. 包容 equals 纵容. Tolerance equals complicity. Xuefeng. January 21, 2021. Translated by Chinyu, edited by Peter. There is a kind of tolerance that is tantamount to complicity. I am here to talk specifically about this kind of tolerance. I left 3 WeChat groups yesterday. The reason for my leaving was the uncivilized language in those 3 groups. In 2 of these groups, a person named Lunatic Wong is always saying "fuck your mother" and using other vulgar and crude words. Barbarians like him and many people not only praise him for his knowledge and wisdom, but also tolerate him as well. Feeling helpless and unable to bear the foul atmosphere in the group, I left. The reason why Lunatic Wong used swear words unscrupulously was because he found that people would tolerate his barbaric behavior. So, he feigned madness and acted like an idiot, acted irrationally, and cursed heaven and anyone he could. The language he used is so nasty, vulgar, filthy, and dirty that no one in the past and no one in the future will be able to surpass him. Other people tolerate this despicable and shameless person and are even singing praises for him. This is the pure acceptance of evil. As a spiritual practitioner, I cannot connive with evil to such a degree, or even associate with him, speak with him on the same stage, which shows how far the world of spiritual cultivation has fallen. When evil occupies the platform of discourse and morals degenerate to their extremities, no one should blame others. We should blame ourselves for being too tolerant of falsehoods, evil, and ugliness. This tolerance is complicity, and it is when we are compliant of ugly deeds and ugly words by each of us that it leads to the indecencies that are swaggering through the streets and running rampant. Tolerance refers to the non-interference of personality differences under the same attribute. For example, various flowers have the same attribute. Under the same attribute, peonies need to tolerate thorny roses, chrysanthemums need to tolerate winter plums that bloom in cold weather, and bougainvillea that blooms all year round need to tolerate epiphyllum, whose flowering period is only a few hours. Another example is that truth, kindness, beauty, love, faith, sincerity, peace, and harmony should mutually tolerate each other, because they are all the same attributes. When things are completely different in nature, they cannot tolerate each other. Here tolerance equals complicity. Truth, goodness, and beauty cannot tolerate falsehoods, evil and ugliness. The sun cannot tolerate darkness, fire cannot tolerate water, and a beautiful environment cannot tolerate garbage. Imagine that there are 8 dishes on the dinner table, and someone brings a plate of feces. May I ask, will you tolerate it? The Chinese nation regards bearing shame and humiliation as a positive virtue. This kind of value is problematic. The cultivated world praises tolerance highly, to show that they have broad minds and noble feelings. How hypocritical this is. Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism all emphasize tolerance. So Chinese people are particularly tolerant, but it is precisely because everyone can tolerate that the Chinese characteristic of tolerance has been formed. This tolerance for humiliation makes people feel angry, but they do not speak and dare not stop and resist in their behavior, and all take the gentleman style of, if you are patient in one moment of anger, you will escape 100 days of sorrow. In the long run, people will live awkwardly, but they have nowhere to vent. In the end, they can only swallow their anger and comfort themselves with having a tolerant mentality. In China, the phenomenon of queue jumping occurs often because the Chinese are good at tolerance. I lived in Zimbabwe for more than 10 years. The commercial, industrial, and living areas of this country are completely separated. Office workers who work in the city during the day need to take the shuttle bus to go home after work. Every day, there are many people waiting in line for the bus, but queue jumping rarely occurs there. Why? Because people are not tolerant of line jumpers, so it is impossible to cut into a line. Once, I was queuing up at a place to pay electricity and water bills. Suddenly, a black guy walked to the window without queuing up. Several old white ladies in the back immediately protested. They not only yelled, but an old lady also even stepped forward and dragged the black guy to the back of the line. They just would not tolerate the behavior of queue jumping. Just because everyone was not tolerant, so an overall good sense of order was achieved. A Canadian mayor slapped his subordinate, and this subordinate called the police. The police rushed to the spot and took the mayor to the police station in handcuffs. That night, the mayor was detained in a cell with no windows, no bed, no bedding, and no urinal. When he wanted to go to the toilet, he would knock on the door and make a report. At 9 o'clock the next morning, the police handcuffed him again, added anklets, stuffed him into an armored prison car, and he went straight to the local court. The judge sentenced him to go to the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation to see if he had any mental problems that had caused the violence and sentenced him not associate with this subordinate whom he had beaten at any time. If he encounters this subordinate by chance, he must immediately and unconditionally maintain a distance of more than 200 meters from him. Any violation, it will be treated as the crime of contempt of court. After returning home, the mayor had to resign. 3 months later, the court's final decision was, 1. He is not allowed to carry knives or guns or ammunition with him for the rest of his life. 2. For the period of 1 year, he needs to report his situation to the Community Crime Prevention Agency every month, and he must ask the Community Crime Prevention Agency for leave and report back after a leave of absence when he leaves his residence to do business and then returns to his residence. It can be said that Chinese people will tolerate the mayor slapping a subordinate in the face, and even if a ruffian beats somebody up, Chinese people generally will tolerate it. It's mainly because of this tolerance that the offender can act boldly and arbitrarily. This is all caused by tolerance. This kind of irrational and no bottom-line connivance-style tolerance can be seen everywhere. In the family, when the children are unhappy, they lie on the ground and cry. Grandparents and parents not only fail to instruct them in time, but also coax them. Some students in the school will bully other students, and teachers and principals are also tolerant of this. More cases are between husbands and wives, who often have trouble with each other, but then they tolerate each other. Most of the WeChat groups on the internet are tolerant of those who speak rudely and humiliate others. Over time, the whole society becomes tolerant, so crimes are rampant. In the new oasis for life created by Xuefeng, why do people behave in a noble way, and why is everything in order? The reason is that we never tolerate bad words and deeds. Not only do we not tolerate fighting and swearing, but we also never tolerate the behaviors of boozing, whoring, gambling, and smoking, and we even never tolerate the behavior of the wasting of food and property. No one can leave any food in the rice bowl after eating. Not just leaving food behind, but even leaving a few grains of rice in the bowl is not allowed. Anyone who dares to throw trash down casually can try it. Anyone who dares to sexually harass women can try it. Anyone who dares to hide public goods privately can try it. Anyone who dares to peep into the privacy of others can try it. Anyone who dares to take indolence and covet enjoyment can try it. If one recommits this act after being warned, he will be expelled from the home. Someone taught me and said, "You need to be more tolerant and accept everything." I answered immediately, "I am not a trash can or a trash pit. How can I tolerate and accept everything?" Some people call those creatures that talk filthily and often say, "Fuck your mother," as superior and master. Their values are reversed to such a degree. No wonder that these superiors and masters have sprung up like mushrooms in the land of China. 分工负责的价值和意义. The value and significance of division of labor. Xuefeng, January 30th, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. First, let's look at these equations. Which equation do you think has the greatest power? 1 plus 1 equals 0, 1 plus 1 equals 11, plus 1 equals 21, plus 1 equals 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let me explain. 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. When two people live together without division of labor, regardless of the size of tasks, they work together and are busy all day without time for leisure or study. Due to differences in personality and views, they criticize, nitpick, and attack each other, wasting their time and energy on pointless arguments. They end up achieving nothing, and their life accomplishments equal 0. 1 plus 1 is equal to 1. When two people live together and work on tasks without internal conflict, their results equal what one person could accomplish alone. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Two people living together, each doing their own thing, without interfering with each other, results in the achievement of two people. 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. Two people living together, dividing responsibilities, cooperating seamlessly, and working together on specific tasks, results in the achievement of 3 people. 1 plus 1 is equal to 9. Two people living together, with clear division of all tasks, sharing common goals, and no internal conflicts, results in the achievement of what would normally take 9 people to accomplish. The above is a theoretical analysis, but what is the actual situation like? Please carefully consider how your own living situation with others is like, especially the achievements of 2 people living together as a couple. What I want to tell everyone is that based on my analysis and practical experience, whether it is 2 people, 3 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, or even all the people on Earth living together, the greatest achievement comes from dividing tasks and responsibilities. If tasks are not clearly defined and everyone wants to meddle in everything, or if you are building airplanes, I am also building airplanes, and he is also building airplanes, it will not only waste resources and human effort, but also create competition. The result of competition can be lower costs, increased efficiency, and better quality, but it will also lead to enormous waste of resources and moral degradation, which is not worth it. By playing to each person's strengths, refining tasks, sharing common goals, and cooperating seamlessly without interference, this kind of team, whether it is a team of 2, 8, or 10,000 people, can achieve results that are multiples of what individuals can achieve. This approach does not waste resources nor create tensions between individuals, because there is no internal friction or competition. From a couple to various countries around the world, if we follow the theory of dividing tasks and responsibilities, humanity will enter a golden age where there will be no more wars, waste of Earth's resources will be eliminated, and social turmoil will be eradicated. Border controls between countries will no longer be necessary, and we will enter a harmonious era of global integration. Of course, to achieve the above ideal, it seems that only the Life-genuine values and the second home model can bear such a heavy responsibility at present. 请看看你是不是你自己. Please take a look and see if you are yourself. Xuefeng, October 5th, 2020. Edited by Qin Yu. If we have interacted with many people, we will find that people change and are unpredictable. We cannot figure out what kind of person they really are. There is a saying that human hearts are hard to fathom. Even after decades of being together, we may still find the other person to be a stranger, causing us to feel lost in life. At this time, when we feel that others are difficult to fathom, we need to have a self-recognition. Who am I really? Am I myself? Am I also a fickle and unpredictable person? It is not difficult to know oneself, and we can reason it out this way. You see a peach tree with ripe peaches hanging from its branches. You pick one, take a bite, and feel the sweetness and fragrance in your mouth. You like it from the bottom of your heart and believe that this peach is a fairy peach. However, someone comes over and tells you that this peach is a demonic peach, which will turn people into demons when eaten. Later, someone else says that this peach is a desire peach, which will generate desires in people. Desires are like the chains that drag people down to hell. The question is, what will you do now? Will you continue to eat or stop eating from now on? If you follow your own feelings and continue to eat, then you are yourself. If you listen to the evaluations of others and stop eating, then you are not yourself. You are just a puppet, possessed by the consciousness of others. Have you ever experienced the taste of sexual love, especially the excitement brought by having an affair? If you feel excited, wonderful, and blissful and want to enjoy this happiness for the rest of your life, what will you do when you see an article that describes the harm of sex, such as your energy is going to drain from below and warns of the difficulty of becoming enlightened due to lustful thoughts? If you continue to enjoy the sexual pleasure and ignore the teachings of others, even ignoring the teachings of Buddhists and gods, then you are yourself. On the other hand, if you restrain the driving force in your heart and no longer engage in sexual activity, then you are not yourself. You are a puppet controlled by the thoughts of others, without any intellectual or independent consciousness. You cannot be considered a complete and independent person. Suppose you are a Chanyuan celestial. You have lived in the new oasis for life, and you sincerely like this new way of life and want to live in it for the rest of your life. Now, someone says that Life Chanyuan is a cult and an illegal organization, and Xuefeng is a big demon who cheats people out of money and sex. What will you do? You start to waver, gradually moving away from Life Chanyuan and no longer daring to live in the new oasis for life, fearing that you will be deceived or suppressed. At this point, you have betrayed your own heart, abandoned your true feelings, and you are no longer yourself. You have been kidnapped by fear and have lost your true self. People often say that they should stick to the truth, but what is the truth? At the most basic level, the truth is your inner feelings, your inner driving force. When you listen to external judgments and preaching and go against your innermost driving force to speak and act, you have violated the truth. When you violate the truth, you are not yourself, you are a fake person. The words you speak do not come from yourself. You are just a megaphone. You will always be influenced by the outside world, and you have no roots. During my time at the Beijing University of International Business and Economics, I had a roommate who always said, "My wife said." Regardless of the topic, he always said, "My wife said." Later, we gave him a nickname, Mrs. Said. Is he still himself? Of course not. He is just a shadow of his wife. There are many such people. Some say, "My mother said." Some say, "My master said." Some say, "The guru said." Some say, "The Buddha said." Some say, "The organization said," and so on. These people have no selves and cannot find themselves. Of course, this no self is miles away from selflessness. Every day on the internet, we can see articles that come like a tsunami, but upon careful reading, we find that they are all things taken from others. Some have only been slightly decorated, but fundamentally, they are not their own true voice and feelings. It is very unfortunate that once you cannot find yourself, cannot live out your true self, you will ultimately regret it, and regret it for the rest of your life. Don't believe me? Go ask people over 60 years old who have lived their whole lives following others' correct and instructive ways, never living according to their true desires. As they near death, can they not regret it? Yesterday, in a WeChat group, I saw the woman say a few words. She said, "People around me always ask me to be more stable." Be stable, my ass. I am like a grasshopper in the autumn, and I can't jump around for many more days. What stability? After reading her heartfelt words, I felt that a true person had emerged. Only the world of true people is the most exciting world, and only in the life of true people is there a heavenly life. If the surroundings are full of fake people, floating like ghosts, how can life be happy and fulfilling? How can one not be lost? 走出他人设置的程序圈圈。 breaking out of the program circles set by others. Xuefeng, January 29, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. I installed a towel rack yesterday, which gave me a revelation. If I followed the manufacturer's complicated installation process, I would have had a difficult time installing it, and it may not have even been successful. So, I thought, it's just a towel rack. Why must I follow the manufacturer's installation process? I discarded almost all of the parts that the manufacturer provided and thought of a solution that followed the principle of least resistance. In the end, I easily installed the towel rack, and it not only looked sturdy but also perfect. Think about our lives. We are born into this world and must live until we eventually enter the grave. We only have a few decades to navigate the great river of life. Where can we find the easiest and simplest path through this journey? Think about all those celebrities, officials, wealthy individuals, experts, professors, judges, lawyers, and so on. No matter how illustrious and honorable their lives may have been, they also only lived for a few decades. Once they die, they become nothing. Those who live their lives in a constant rush, busy pursuing their goals, before they know it, they are old and about to enter the grave. They competed and struggled throughout their lives, only to have everything they gained become nothing. If we play out the process of human birth to death, we will discover that human life is both sad and pitiful. Some people take pride and arrogance in the prosperity of their descendants, but what is pitiful is that they themselves have only been living in a dream. As they die, their dreams shatter, and few of their descendants will visit their graves to burn incense and pay their respects. Even if their descendants come to burn incense and pay respects every day, they will never feel the memory and mourning of their offspring. Let's take a look at the life trajectory of an ordinary person. Birth, education, work, marriage, children, supporting their family and children, retirement, and then death. What have they experienced throughout this journey? They have experienced joy, sickness, struggle, sexual happiness, fatigue, hardship, anxiety, worry, pain, anger, frustration, and fear. We suddenly realize that human life is simply replicating the path of our predecessors. Except for changes in tools and material prosperity, the essence of human existence has hardly changed. Have you noticed? Everyone is following someone else's program circle, just like home buyers taking out loans and making monthly payments according to the program designed by the seller and the bank, being misled by the program into having unrealistic dreams. And marriage, starting a family, having children, and retirement are all programs designed by others, and the vast majority of people spend their entire lives in this magical program. I discarded the manufacturer's design and complex program and installed the towel rack in a simpler and easier way. To make life more valuable and meaningful, one must step out of the program circle designed by others, otherwise they can only follow in the footsteps of those who came before. In life, there are only two things that are most valuable and meaningful. One is to make oneself happy, and the other is to find the path to heaven. Everything else is nonsense. From the perspective of maintaining happiness and finding the path to heaven, 95% of people spend their lives talking nonsense, doing nonsense, and worrying and being anxious about nonsense. 看看自己有没有生存的价值. Take a look at whether you have any value in existence. Xuefeng, June 11, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Everything in the world has its own value, and every person has their own value in existence. If something loses its value or a person loses his value, it doesn't mean that the value itself disappears. It means that the thing or the person is in the wrong time and place or engaged in the wrong occupation. A pile of cow dung has value when placed at the roots of plants, but it loses its value when placed on a sandy beach. A diamond has value when set in a crown, but it loses its existence value when buried in the ground. Someone with a great singing voice has value as a singer, but they have no value as a coal miner. A person skilled in gardening can create enormous value in a field, but if they engage in artificial intelligence research, they cannot demonstrate their value in existence. A shallow but sexually appealing girl has value in engaging in nightlife work, but if she manages a company, she not only fails to demonstrate her value but may also bring chaos to the company. When treasures are misplaced or used incorrectly, they become garbage. But when garbage is placed correctly, it becomes a treasure. A genius engaged in the wrong profession becomes a fool, while a fool engaged in the right profession becomes a genius. If Elon Musk had continued to live in South Africa, he would have been just a minor employee in some company. If he had lived in certain countries, he would have been labeled as mentally ill and sent to a mental institution. But by entering the United States, he became a world-renowned genius among geniuses. I believe that there are no idiots, mediocre individuals, or wasted talents in the world. Everyone is a genius, outstanding, and capable. The reason why there are many fools, mediocre individuals, and wasted talents is that they haven't been placed in the right positions or given the opportunity to showcase their natural talents. What causes geniuses to become fools, mediocrities, or wasted talents? The answer is marriage and family, national consciousness, state consciousness, religious ideologies, and centralized management systems. Why are there no fools, mediocrities, or wasted talents in heaven? Because there is no marriage and family, no national or state consciousness, no religion, and no centralized administrative management. Why do many people spend their whole lives practicing cultivation or Buddhism but ultimately fail to achieve enlightenment? Because if they lose their true nature and act according to their heart, how can they become immortals or Buddhas? True cultivation lies in not deliberately cultivating, true achievement lies in not striving, true planning lies in not scheming, and the divine will lies in not desiring. Any deliberate cultivation, education, guidance, or effort to achieve a purpose is the most effective way to turn oneself and others into fools, mediocrities, or wasted talents. Can you breathe fresh air while living in smog? Can you become a philosopher while living under autocratic rule? If you cannot demonstrate your value in existence, or even live a life without value, subjective factors account for 3 points, and objective factors account for 7 points. Even if you are a unique and extraordinary plant, you cannot emit a hint of greenness in the cold winter covered in ice and snow. It can be attributed to timing, luck, and destiny. 人造环境，环境造人. Humans create the environment transforms humans. Xuefeng, June 7, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Nature has bestowed upon humanity all the resources for life. How to utilize these natural resources to create a beautiful and comfortable environment depends on the richness of the human spirit and soul. We can observe the yards of different households. Some families, although not economically affluent, have clean and tidy yards with blooming flowers and fruit trees. On the other hand, some families have lifeless yards filled with garbage, dirty and unkempt. With the same conditions, different individuals create different living environments. When we look at the social living environments in countries like the United States, China, and Japan, we find stark differences. In the United States, private property and territory are sacred and inviolable. In China, there is a promotion of wealth equality and common prosperity. In Japan, private enterprises are protected, allowing century-old businesses to thrive. This indicates that the values of Americans, Chinese, and Japanese are completely different, resulting in vastly different social living environments. For example, there is a piece of land in front of a house. Some people prefer to transform it into a lawn, while others prefer to grow vegetables. Some may turn it into a small square. Different consciousness leads to different environmental choices. From this, we can understand that the environment is a product of human consciousness. The kind of consciousness one possesses determines their living environment. Conversely, the environment can transform individuals. The story of Mencius' mother's 3 moves best illustrates the impact of the environment on a person. Mencius' mother moved 3 times in order to provide a better environment for her son's growth. Initially, they lived near a cemetery, where Mencius would play among the graves. His mother realized that staying there would ruin her child's potential, so they moved next to a market. However, Mencius would spend his days playing as if he were a merchant. His mother felt that this place wouldn't allow her son to grow healthily, so they moved again, this time next to a school. There, Mencius would engage in games of ritual and respect. The environment, being a graveyard, led Mencius to learn funeral customs and blow trumpets. The environment being a slaughterhouse, Mencius learned how to butcher pigs and sheep. The environment being a school, Mencius developed a love for reading and learning etiquette. Understanding the principle that humans create environment and environment transforms humans establishes a guiding beacon for human development. As individuals, we should first determine what kind of person we want to become. If we aspire to be materially wealthy, we should go to places where money is abundant and markets are prosperous. If we want to be skilled debaters, we should go to places with many people and lively debates. If we desire to become celestial beings, we should immerse ourselves in the serene beauty of nature with few inhabitants. If we aspire to become a Buddha, we should seek environments where we have nothing but possess everything. Living with virtuous people is like entering a room filled with fragrant orchids. If you stay there for a long time and will not smell their fragrance, that's because you are influenced by and used to them. Living with wicked people is like entering a fish market. If you stay there for a long time and will not smell the stench, that's also because you are influenced by and used to them. If you want to emanate a pleasant fragrance, surround yourself with flowers. If you want to emit a foul odor, stay in the toilet. If you deeply understand that you are currently in the toilet and aspire to live among flowers, the best way is to leave the toilet, break free from its confines, and enter an environment where flowers bloom. The principles are clear, the path is well defined, but the dilemma lies in how to break free from the barriers of the toilet. It's difficult, especially when there are entanglements of family, emotions, and debts. Escaping the toilet is as challenging as reaching the blue sky. In the end, we will realize that heaven exists, but we cannot step beyond the door of the toilet. The greatest obstacle that prevents us from transcending is the ties of family, emotions, and debts. Once we are free from these attachments, heaven is not far away. However, who among ordinary people can truly overcome the threshold of family, emotions, and debts? 谁在卡中国脖子? Who is strangling China? Xuefeng. June 5, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Once someone's neck is caught, the symptoms include difficulty breathing, sore throat, headache, dizziness, loss of motivation, facial redness. Online, it is said that American imperialism has been strangling China. Has China really had trouble breathing and a loss of motivation? Absolutely not. China is the world's second-largest economy, known as a powerful nation, and a country that vows to take revenge no matter the distance. How can a country composed of over 1.4 billion people be strangled by a country with a population of just over 300 million? Are we pretending to be pitiful, as if someone is strangling our necks? Is China really that pitiful? It is a contemptuous and insulting statement to portray China as a helpless victim. The claim of being strangled is purely a contemptuous and derogatory view towards China and its people. The argument that the evil